Trying again. I just had a failed stream. Whoop, but that's not a good way to start. Hello. Good morning, evening, afternoon. I'm looking at you. You are in the form of a Canon lens, but you are a real person. I am a real person. My name is Dan. I am here in the world this afternoon. I'm ready to talk about code and various things. Before I get started, let me just see. First of all, let me see if things are working here. I don't think that my streaming to Twitch is working, unfortunately, but I think I'm just not going to worry about that right now. So the first thing I would like to know is if the audio is okay. How's the audio? The second thing I would like to know is if you can see things okay. I'm on this computer. Let me open up processing because I'm going to do something in processing first. It is about 1:52 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, April 12th. Can you see this processing sketch? Can you read this font? If I walk over here, I didn't do my. Usually I wash the whiteboard. Can you see this whiteboard? Can you read what's on it? It doesn't seem that bright, but let me know how everything looks and sounds. I'm going to check out the chat. Audio seems okay. Yep, works. I'm going to say try tonight. 11 people. I actually sent out a MailChimp announcement. I don't know if anybody got it, saying I was going to come on and do this at 1:45, and it is. And I'm going to just see if Twitch. Oh, great! So Twitch is working. If you're, I guess I am streaming to Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, I see things in the chat saying you are. So great. Okay, so. Let me introduce what's going to happen today. So I think probably everybody who's watching are people who have watched before, but this helps me figure out who I am and what place I have in the world. But I live here in New York City. I teach at a program called ITP at New York University. I am on leave for the semester, and I'm spending time at a place called the School for Poetic Computation, which is in the West Village. It's sfpc.io. Encourage you to check out their website. But I set up a recording studio here, and I'm trying to dedicate myself to experiments in education online and other types of experiments, but in particular through this live streaming. It's important to me to have personal interaction, so I'm trying to do stuff live with a chat. I'm going to record some stuff as tutorials. The topics are generally creative coding, graphics, web, JavaScript, processing, Java, that sort of thing. So I want to try something different today. I don't have any coffee, which is usually a good thing for me because the coffee is a problem. And usually I have a glass with water in it. Instead I have this bottle, which is very bad for the environment, so maybe I'm going to try not to do that in the future. But what I want to do today is I want to start a new segment, which I call the 10-minute coding challenge. So I got a message on Twitter asking for help about creating a warp speed simulation. I don't know if I just Google or Starfield kind of thing. So like if I Google like a Starfield simulation and like JavaScript or something, this. So you can see here, this is what I'm interested in trying to create, sort of Starfield simulation like this. Ooh, this is a nice one in 10 minutes. I'm like looking over here at my hair. And I also have figured out how to make a timer appear in the stream that you're watching in the corner up there. So I'm going to try to get that set up. I've got 14 people watching. So the topic that I said I was going to do today, which has been highly requested, is P5.js. So like a drawing canvas in a browser that communicates over WebSockets so that if you're drawing and somebody else is drawing, you can see what the other person is drawing. So I am going to get to that. But first I want to try this idea of a 10-minute, coding challenge just to see if it works. So the first thing I need to do is I need to run this thing called Desktop Presenter. And so hold on. Because I need to hit save. So I had to set up, so I'm using something called Wirecast. And Wirecast allows me to take multiple inputs, combine this green screen with my computer screen, move back and forth between different cameras. And what I want to do is using something now that I found called Desktop Presenter, which allows me to capture a portion of another application and overlay it. So I'm just going to I'm having a timer running in the browser. For example, so let me see if I can get this going. So I need to go to, so you'll have to bear with me for a second. I'm going to do something that you can't see, but you'll be able to see it in a moment. So I've got Desktop Presenter going. This worked earlier. Okay. So let me see here. Sorry, everyone. This is going to take me a second because this is new. And I had this set up and working before I started the stream, and Wirecast crashed, and my settings didn't get saved. So I'm going to switch to this. Got it. Okay, this is good. This is good. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's fine. Oops. Okay, hold on. This is working differently than it did before, but I think it should be okay. And now let's see here. Edit shot. I'm going to add, please work, new desktop presenter source. New local desktop presenter source. And I'm going to, hold on. You'll see everything will be okay in a second. Output settings. Oh, no, that's not output settings. Source settings. Oh, never configure your stream. Okay, sound should be back. Sound should be back. Am I back? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay, so I'm getting ready. Close this. Okay, so I'm going to do my first ever, I'm going to call this Starfield. So this is bad where I have this. Hold on a second, everybody, because this will block the code. I got to do a better job, I think, of that's probably fine, right? Okay. There we go. This I don't need here. Oops, I can't click on that. This I don't need here. I can move these down. Clean up. Okay. How are we doing, everybody? You see the timer above my head. You can hear me again. And I'm going to do this 10-minute coding challenge. Okay, I see in the chat someone asked, does anyone know how long this is going to be? So my plan, it's now 2 o'clock, is to stream until approximately 3:15, 3:30. So perhaps a little over an hour or so. So I'm going to first do this 10-minute programming challenge. And then I'm going to take a break and start talking about Node and sockets and P5.js all together. Okay, let me just check Twitch here. Okay, it's back. Audio is back. There's only one person watching in Twitch. I'm not sure if I should keep the Twitch stream thing going, but okay. So here we go. All right. Hello. Okay. So I've only wasted 11. Oh, you know what? This here is, that's okay. Maybe it doesn't bother you so much if you see my laptop a little bit here. Big deal, right? Okay. All right, let's do this. So the first thing I have to do is I'm going to hit record. All right, let me give it, I have an idea. I'm going to give it, do that. Okay. Now I have 30 seconds till it's time for me to begin. Okay, I'm going to begin this. Oops. Once it hits 10 minutes, I'm going to start. Here we go. I need theme music. Hello, welcome to the 10-minute coding challenge. This is a new segment that I'm starting here on the Coding Rainbow, where I'm given a programming problem and I'm given 10 minutes to solve that problem, and when the timer goes, I've got to stop recording. So I'm not prepared for this, but normally I get a coding challenge from somebody. So insert person's Twitter handle here, wrote in and asked, how do you make a Starfield warp speed simulation visualization? So I'm going to do this in the processing programming environment. I will also make a P5.js version of it, but not in this 10 minutes, and I'm talking way too much. I got to get started programming. So the first thing I want to do, and I'm going to skip a few steps here that I might normally do just because I feel like I'm in a little bit of a hurry and I see the clock. I already, it's a minute of starting. I haven't started programming yet. I'm going to make a, oops, nope, don't rename. I'm going to make a new tab here, and I'm going to call that tab star, because what I want to do is make a star class. And I want my star class, and I probably could use a p vector, but I'm not going to use a p vector at the moment. I want to have an x and a y and a z. And when I make a star object, I want to make, I want the x to have a random value between 0 and the width of the window, and y to have a random value between 0 and the height of the window. And truth of the matter is, for simplicity's sake, I wonder if anyone's going to watch this video on YouTube on like 2 times speed, because it's going to be a 5-minute programming challenge. And I'm already talking really fast, so when I talk really fast, it's the 5-minute blah, 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 blah. Okay, now I'm going to do void draw. And I'm going to say size 400, 400. So I want to have a window that's a square, so I don't have to worry about width versus height, and maybe we could figure that out later. But I need a random, and then I'm also going to make z some random value. Now you're kind of wondering, if I have an x and y and a z, shouldn't I be in 3D space? And probably I should be in 3D space to really create this Starfield simulator. But I'm going to try to do this in 2D, because eventually I want to port this to JavaScript and Canvas, and I don't want to deal with WebGL or 3D rendering. I just want to kind of create the illusion of stars moving quickly past my face. So let's keep going here. So now what I want to do is I want to make an array. And I could make an array list, because I want to add stars, and when they get off the screen, I'm going to remove them. But I'm going to do something simpler. I'm just going to have an array of stars. I'm going to put like 100 of them in there because I think what might make the most sense is when a star goes off the window to just reuse that same star in the array but reset its location back. And I'm going to say stars index I equals a new star. And then in draw, space is what color? The blackness of space, so I will make the black background. And I'm just going to say like update and draw, display, show. I'll just do show. So this is the basic outline of the program. I make a bunch of stars, I update them, and I show them. Now these functions don't exist yet, so I need to go back to my star object, and I need to say update. How am I doing on time? 6 minutes left. And I need to say show. And the main thing I want to do is fill 255, no stroke. I want to draw an ellipse at that x and y location, and I'm going to make that ellipse just like 8. And I'm going to run this and make sure this is working. Good. OK, so I do see a bunch of things that look like they could be stars. Now I need to make them move. So they really should move like they should move. I'm going to move this closer to myself. This is bad for me to start talking. I really just got to keep programming. But I want them to move like fanning out from the center. And as they go out to the center, I want them to go faster and faster. And that's what I'm going to use that z value for. I'm essentially going to divide. You could think of the ratio of their location from the center to the edge, and I want to divide by some value. So that value I'm dividing by is getting bigger and bigger, and they're moving out to the edge. I think this is going to work, and I saw an example like a year ago. I'm going to find that example and link to it in the video because now I'm realizing this is kind of based on that. Anyway, I'll find it. OK, but I can't talk about it too much right now because I only got 5 minutes left. So what I want to do is I want to say something like this. I want to say I'm going to make a new value called like sx, and I want to say x divided by z. And then I want to map that value, kind of like a ratio which goes between 0 and 1 to between 0 and the width. And I wanted to do the same thing for y divided by c, right? Because z, let's just pretend they're all starting really far away, right? So basically, what I'm saying is that I want them to start. I almost shouldn't use z. I just used the z because I'm thinking of them as being closer or farther away. But I really want a value between 0 and 1, and let's run this again. And we should see it kind of looks the same. But now the difference is I could say here z equals z minus 1. And oh, you know what I've done here that's bad? Everything is happening according to the top left corner. This is a terrible, this is a problem. And we've got to correct this because I only got 4 minutes left. So I can translate in draw width divided by 2, height divided by 2. This makes a lot more sense because really what I want is to be translating to the, I want everything to be fanning out from the center, not the top left. So if I do this, you can see things are fanning out, but still from there. So all I need to do now is really think about this as like negative width to width and negative height to height. That should do well. And you can see here, and let that only 100 stars wasn't so many, so let's make 400. And you can see things are moving out from the center. And you can see as they move out, they start getting faster and faster and faster because I'm dividing by this number. Oops, and you can see them now. So they're coming back. They're getting sucked in back to the center. And I also divided by 0 because I got this infinity problem. So I need to do a couple things. Number one is I need to deal with the fact that when z gets down to 0, I want to reset z back to somewhere else. And also, let's have them all start at a random z. And then if z is, and let's just say less than 1, because I don't want to divide by 0, z should get a random. Actually, should just go all the way back. And we could give them a new x and y also. And I could put this into another function. Now look at this. So now things are moving out. And you can see as they come back, they're reappearing. Now here's another thing I could do. First of all, let's make this whole thing bigger. And let's make more stars, just to be able to see more. So you can see how this is looking. Now, they're moving kind of slowly, so I also think that it would make a lot more sense for this to be like the number 10. And you can see, there we go. We got something that's really starting to look like a Starfield, right? But the thing is, they're kind of like popping up. Like they just appear. So one thing I could do is also change their size, right? If they're farther away, they should be small. If they're closer, they should be big. So right now, the ellipse is always drawn. The ellipse is always drawn at, oh my god, I only have 2 minutes left. The ellipse is always drawn at 8 pixels. So what I want to do is make another variable called r, and not random, I want to map their z value, which goes between 0 and width, to when they're close, being 0, they should be big, like 16. And when they're far away, being width, I shouldn't be able to see them at all. And so now, if we do that, you can see they're far away, they're small, and as they come closer, they get bigger and bigger. Now, this is like a Starfield, and let's just, by the way, let's make this really quickly, let's make this just like how z changes, a global variable, and let's be able to control that by the mouse. So I'm going to say, I'm going to add a variable called speed, and I'm going to say speed equals map the mouse x, which goes between 0 and width, to between 0 and, I don't know, 20. So now I can control the speed, right? As I move the mouse over, I'm moving faster, I'm slowing down, I'm moving faster. I could eventually get to warp speed, and I've got 1 minute left, because I want to do one more thing. I want to see these streaking. I want to see the lines streaking with 1 minute left, 59 seconds. So what do I need to do to have them streaking? Well, I want their current location, and I want their previous location. I want to connect those things with a line. So I'm actually going to make more variables. I'm going to say px and py, and I'm going to set those variables here to px equals sx, py equals sy, and then I want to also draw a line. Oh, I realize I'm going to have a problem, and I only have 26 seconds left. I can do this. Line px, py, sx, sy. So this is fine. You can see there's a problem though, which is when they get to the edge. When they get to the edge, they're connecting a line to their previous locations. So really, what I should be doing is saying this. What the hell? I failed. Okay, whatever. So that was the 10-minute coding challenge. You should stop now. This is really like so dramatic and exciting, and yet I totally failed. But I'm gonna give myself a bonus 2 minutes. Bonus 2 minutes. Bonus 2 minutes to solve this problem. So I kind of was screwing around here because I was trying to be tricky and get the previous location. But really, I don't want the previous. I need to keep track, right? Every time, the previous location when it starts should just be its x location. And the previous, and then each time after it moves, and I draw it, then I should update its previous location. Then it gets its new location. But really what I want to do here for that line is say PSX, PSY. And it's not, oh my goodness, the x doesn't matter. The x doesn't, this is the whole problem. It's the z. The z, all I care about is the previous z. I knew something was going on here. I want previous z. Boy, previous z, because the z is the only thing that's changing. Its x is like its position in the world. The z is what's actually causing it to change. So I want pz to start being previous z to start at z. And I want to draw, and then the whole point is, and the camera goes off, and I have 54 seconds left. We're going to make this happen in my bonus 2 minutes. I'm going to say here, float, px equals, and this exact same formula. But now I want x divided by pz, and py, I want x divided by y divided by pz. So now I'm drawing a line between the two locations. We don't care about this, although it's probably a good time here to give it its previous location also. Whoa, something lunacy is happening. What did I miss? I have 19 seconds left. X divided by pz. Oh, Height, no, but that shouldn't matter. Oh, X, X. Here we go, here we go, here we go. So close. 6 seconds left. What did I miss? PX. Oh, SX, XX, SX, SY. Here we go. There we go. So you can see now in all of its glory the warp speed streakiness. Boy, it said 1 second there for a while because it doesn't actually say time expired until I click over here. Okay. Interestingly enough, something is definitely not working because I forgot to say PZ equals Z. There we go. So you can see its streakiness. Let's make it go faster. I'm really failing with the 10-minute thing. We'll see how long this video is in the end. It can't be more than 15 minutes, otherwise I'll really feel like a total failure. I'm going to turn off the ellipse for a second. And here we go. This is what I was sort of hoping to see. You can see the streaks as it draws the lines, and I can slow down, and I can put those circles back in there. There's all sorts of possibilities here. So I hope you enjoyed this video about how to make a Starfield. I'm also going to upload a JavaScript version of this that will run in the browser. The links to both the code for both of those will be in the description. If they're not there, write a comment reminding me. And I will see you in the next edition of 10-Minute Coding Challenge, which is just probably going to be 15 minutes. Tweet me with a challenge. I'll keep track of a list of them, and I will do it in the next time. Okay. All right, I'm afraid to look at the chat here. Okay. Right. Semi-transparent background. That's a good idea. Cheating. There's lots of cheating going here. Okay, yes, sound is okay. Okay, people seem to be sort of enjoying this. I didn't see the tweet about the Matrix Rain Wolf ABP, but that's a good idea. I would definitely consider that. If bonus points for it has a rainbow associated with it. Somebody wrote that. The problem is when you write a comment in the chat, and when I go back to read the chat, it was from like 5 minutes ago, so I have no idea what you're referring to. So if it's a comment that's relating to something I'm doing that you really want me to be able to see and respond to, you're going to have to say, because someone wrote, that's cheating. There's lots of that's cheating. By the way, I have a specific point of view. I should make this its own video about what's cheating in programming. Here's my point of view. It's all cheating. It's all cheating. There's no actual Starfield. So it doesn't matter whether you're using quote unquote real 3D math or fake cheating 3D math. It's the illusion, the magic of what you're making that counts. So there is no such thing as cheating. I suppose the only thing that would be cheating is copying somebody else's code and not giving credit to them. But even copying somebody else's code, if it's open source, blah, 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 is not cheating as long as you give credit. Little rant there for a second. Okay, so time expired. So I'm going to minimize my timer now. And I'm going to close this. I'm going to leave this. Let me just, maybe I should make the P5.js version right now really quick. Well, I'll do that later. I don't want to make sure I have enough time. Yeah, okay. So I'm just curious, what happens if I now do this? Yeah, still seems fine. Although it's probably a little bit skewed because I'm actually using height in the calculation, which I probably shouldn't. Probably only works if it's a square. Like I really should be doing this for it to look, whoa, correct. Just picking one value. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about that too much. Plus I should pick randomly. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about this too much. This worked. And the, I'm pretty sure, I need to find the thing that this is based on. I think it was from a Bryn Mawr example. Okay, so, all right, so that was today's 10-minute coding challenge. Hello, 22 people watching live in the YouTube stream. I hope you all are, please feel free to share with your friends that this is happening. Sign up for my, so I'll plug this now, that on my new website, there's a place here where if you want to sign up for live stream updates, I haven't really. I probably should just have a set time every week where I'm doing this, but I seem to not be capable of that. And for example, I just sent an email this morning being like, oh, it's going to be at 1:45 today. So I'm going to try to do better at scheduling this sort of stuff. I can tell you that 100% this week I will not be doing any live streams on Thursday, and I hope to be doing one tomorrow, as well as possibly Friday. Okay. So I lost a few viewers there in plugging my own website. I am now going to switch gears, and what I want to do, I'm going to show you an example. I've got to somehow grab this. Okay, hold on a second. I made an example earlier. So I'm finding something that I'm going to show you. And sockets, and I'll bring that over here. And it's probably going to do something where, oh, good, OK. Sorry, I have to turn my phone off when I do this because I'm like looking at people's Twitter messages. Desktop sockets. OK, let's see if this works. And so open up Chrome. So I just want to show you what it is I want to now do a tutorial about. Oh, that's too tiny. So let me, hold on a sec. Desktop. Sockets. Public index. OK. I'm going to show you. OK, what I want to show you is the following. Whoops. I have two browser windows, each open to the same P5.js sketch. These could easily be two browser windows on separate computers in separate parts of the world. They are both connected to a server. That server is also running on this laptop, but it could be running in the cloud anywhere else in the world. As I draw on one, you can see what I'm drawing appears on the other one. A different color is used just so you can kind of see that more specifically. So this is what I want to demonstrate how to do. How do you host a P5.js sketch from a server? How do you have that server? How do you have the sketch connect to the server, send messages to the server in real time, have that server send messages to other clients? Obviously, I've made this example already. I made this probably like a year ago. I updated it this morning. So now I need to make a bunch of video tutorials that go through the steps of how to build this. OK. Somebody in the chat asks, can I rewatch this later? So let me just quickly answer that question. Yes, you can rewatch this later. As soon as the stream ends, the entire stream is archived on YouTube, on my channel, /YouTube/Schiffman. I also, what I usually do is edit the stream to take a few key chunks of videos and make those separate like standalone tutorials. So right now I'm trying to sort this out phase of this project. And let me open, let's figure out together, I think I can, these are links by the way. Let's figure out what would make sense here. So the first thing I need to do is, I have tons of sketches that already introduce P5. So I'm not going to include that in this particular tutorial, but the first thing would be what is server-side programming, Node, and sockets. So that's the first thing I need to cover, right? What is, why do you need server-side programming for this? What's this thing called Node, which I'm going to use for server-side programming? I have a what is Node video for my Twitter bot tutorial series, but I think I might kind of redo that content a bit as part of this particular section, because I also imagine a lot of other things that you would do with server-side programming and P5 with. So then adding Express and hosting files, adding socket.io, connecting. Okay, that can be one tutorial, Express and hosting files. Another tutorial could be adding socket.io package with events, and then adding sockets to P5.js client. Okay, so I think this is 4 videos in my mind. The first, so 4 like 10-minute tutorials. Do I have time for this in an hour? Boy, this is going to be rough. Well, if I don't finish all this, I'll come back and finish it tomorrow. But I'll do as much as I can today. So a basic kind of just introduction to this idea. 1 and 2 could probably be combined. I might just sort of improvise that. I think that number 3 and number 4 definitely need to be 2 separate, distinct videos. So this is my plan. A lot of people have requested this, yes. Janko, is it Janko or Janko? There's someone in the chat named Janko Bosch, who was one of the people who had asked for sockets. Maybe you sent me an email today that I haven't responded to yet, I think. We'll get back to you. Okay, so this is my plan. I'm going to take a really, really quick break before I get started. If you have any ideas or thoughts about this list, please write them in the chat. I am going to mute my microphone, and I will be back in 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Apologies for any audio glitchiness that happens right now. I'm trying to re-add the microphone here. It was kind of tugging on me in a weird way. I am back. Hello. Okay, so if you're just joining, I'm checking the chat. Stuck at loading. Matrix Rain. Oh, there's somebody has a Matrix Rain. Okay. Okay, so if you're just joining, I'm about to record a set of videos about how to make something like this, which is, I'm going to hit refresh here. This is a P5.js sketch that's communicating with another instance of itself running in a separate browser, which could be in on another computer somewhere else. One thing I wanted to look at really quickly to refresh my memory is because the first thing I want to do is look at here. So large data set. Connecting with reading files. I guess So I'm trying to think of reasons why you need server-side programming. So what are reasons why you need server-side programming? So you can do a lot with just P5.js, client-side JavaScript. What I've been doing in most of my videos, got an HTML file, got some JavaScript file, you draw stuff, you connect to APIs, all that sort of things. But things that you might need to do is one is real-time communication. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. Other things are like dealing with large data sets. Right? You might want a server to like process those and return the results. Saving data, although you could use somebody else's server for that. Scraping web pages and other things you cannot connect to from client. Tell me in the chat, what are some other things that you need server-side programming for that might be important to mention? And then what I need to have up here are, so let me close this. I don't need this right now. Got to get myself ready here. I need to have Node.js, the website. And I need to also have terminal open. And what I'm going to do is create I want to create a blank sketch, and I'm going to put it on the desktop as sockets coding rainbow. Okay, that's good. I'm just getting myself set up here. I want to open up Sublime Text, which I have already. Remove folder from project, and let's go get this one here. Okay, now let's close this. I don't need that. Close this, close this. Okay, what else do I need to be ready to do this? I have Sublime going. I have terminal going. But I'm actually going to just do this. And I have a processing I'm going to quit. I have the browser with Node running. And now I need to, what I want to do is remember, although am I going to do that in this particular video? Okay, adding Express and hosting. You know what, I'll do that in the next one. Okay, great. I'm just going to get set up, basics, Node, short video, and the next one we're going to add Express and hosting files. So that's fine. I think this is good. Okay, I am ready to go. How's everybody doing? Yes. So, okay. So Mr. Guru asks, are we able to play along in real time? You should be able to play along in real time. If you want to play along in real time, the two things you should do to get ready are, number one, download Node and install it on your computer, because I'm gonna mention that you have to do that, but I'm not going to do that in the video, in the tutorial. And then you should have terminal open. And if you should have a folder with a blank P5.js sketch. You don't actually even really need that just yet, but that I'm going to use, that I'm going to start with, like the assumption that I already have like an HTML file, a JavaScript file, and a folder called libraries. Okay. And I think, unfortunately, what I want to do is also secretly run. I think I should mention at the beginning what it is I'm doing. And I'm we're going to have another instance of it running over here. Okay, I think I'm ready for this first video. I'm going to cycle these cameras on and off. And I'm going to start with the first tutorial. First, let me just check here. I'm going to check the, that's not good. So I'm definitely going to use the whiteboard. There's some weird shadowy stuff going on. Probably better. Still weird shadowy stuff, whatever. And I'm going to, sorry, I'm spacing out. Let me just make sure this looks okay. Can you read and see that? Looks like it's okay. All right. Wish I had a darker, is this marker better? Let's see. Oh yeah, much better. I'm gonna use this one for sure. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right. I know, I'm sorry. Like, I really have trouble getting started because I feel kind of freaked out. But I'm going to do it. Okay. Hello. Fuck. Oh, I swore. I swore I would never swear, and then somebody edit that out. In this video, I'm here to look at something new, something kind of exciting to me, which is, and let me just demonstrate it for you first. What I have here, right over here, is a HTML5 canvas. It's using something called P5.js, and I can move my mouse around it, and I can click and draw on that canvas. But look what happens when I do that. When I click and draw on that canvas, there's another canvas over here where that same drawing appears. And if I come over here and I draw here, something in this canvas appears, and you can see the color is inverted. Now, this might not seem so magical to you, but I'm making the case to you that these two browser windows with these two canvases could be on separate computers in separate parts of the world. So what I'm here to demonstrate to you today in a series of short tutorial videos is how to use server-side programming with your P5.js creative sketch to allow for real-time communication between multiple users of your sketch. So this could be used for playing a game or a collaborative something or other. You could have video. Also, there's lots of possibilities of things you could do. But I'm going to demonstrate it with a basic collaborative shared drawing space. So we have to add, if you're coming to this video having only ever done the basics of programming in JavaScript with P5.js, you're in the right place. We're going to add something to this, which is server-side programming with Node.js. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, I have done some stuff about Node in some videos about making Twitter bots, but we're going to do something slightly different with Node here, and I'm going to start a bit from scratch again. So let me talk about what the pieces of this are. So for example, the idea here is that you have a laptop, and that laptop has a browser window with a canvas that you're drawing in. And somewhere else, in some other part of the world, there is another laptop with that canvas, and and as you draw, that same drawing appears over there. So somewhere else, there needs to be a server. What happens is this particular instance of your P5.js sketch talks to that server with something known as a socket. Socket being a real-time connection between two applications that can send data back and forth. This particular client also talks to that server with a socket, so that when the user moves the mouse, an event is triggered where the x and y coordinate of the mouse is sent to the server sends the x and y coordinate of that mouse back to this other one, and then this other one receives that message and draws. So the issue is, we know how to write a JavaScript program where you move the mouse and you draw stuff. That's what's the thing that's happening over here. What maybe we don't know how to do, what I haven't covered in any of my videos before, is how to write this server program. And the platform that I'll write the server program in is something called Node.js. There are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of different ways and languages and frameworks and things you can do server-side programming with. Building big, giant web applications is a huge, massive, scary, weird, but friendly and nice topic. Way beyond the scope of what I'm doing here. What I want to do is just look at a simple framework, Node, which will allow me to host the files, the P5.js sketch, as well as make those socket connections. So this is the basic sketch of what I want to do. And so the first thing I need to show you how to do is download Node, install Node, and run something in Node. And then I'll get to more after I do that. Questions? You can't ask a question because this is a video. But find me somewhere. Okay. So I'm back over here. I'm going to close. Here's my computer. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this. And oh, look where I am. I am here on the Node.js website. So if you go to nodejs.org for quick access, place your bookmarks here, blah, blah, blah. Download your appropriate version of Node, run the installer. You can see that I'm doing it here on Mac. On a Mac operating system, an Apple operating system, OS X. I've downloaded it, I've installed it. Once you've done that, you should be able to go to a command line view of your computer. Now, on the Mac, the easiest way to do this is with an application called Terminal, which looks like this, and it's usually found in Applications Utilities. On Windows, insert annotation here, which will say the thing you should use on Windows. Whoops, you can see that I already have Terminal open. And when you see it, it'll look something like this. And I'm going to make the font bigger. Boy, I'm not prepared for this video. I'm going to make the font bigger so you can see it better. So this is, come back to me, computer. This is a terminal window. And terminal window is a place where you can type all sorts of commands in. Now, I'm going to leave someday I should make just like introduction to terminal and Unix commands type thing. But right now I'm just going to give you some basic stuff that you need to know. The first thing you want to do, realize is that if you've installed Node properly, you can just type the word Node into terminal and hit run. Hit enter. And then suddenly you see this other line. Strangely enough, this is now a place where I can type JavaScript. Like I could say 5 plus 6 equals 11. Or I could say var x equals 100. And then I could say x plus plus. And then I could say x is now 101 somehow. I meant to say x equals x plus plus. But anyway, no, x plus plus. I digress. The point is, I'm somehow now in JavaScript land in terminal. But this is not really what I want to do. What I really want to do is write JavaScript programs in a text editor that I can trigger from this Node command in terminal. And I forgot something important over here, which is to say that the point of all this is this might be ultimately how you eventually want your application to live, a server somewhere in the internet, clients all over the world connecting to that server. But what I'm doing right now, and if you're following along and doing it too, is running all of these pieces on one single machine. So I'm going to run the server on my laptop using Node. I'm going to run the client in the browser on my laptop. I'm going to run another client in a separate browser window on my laptop, just for testing and making sure it all works. Okay, so over here, one of the commands that Control-C, by the way, is how you quit. Clear will get me back up to the top. One of the commands that's really important that I want to use is cd for change directory. And I want to go to a folder where I have some P5.js files, because eventually I'm going to be using a P5.js sketch in connection with what I'm doing. So I want to go there, and then I'm going to go to the Finder, and I'm going to go to my desktop, because I already made a folder on my desktop called Sockets Coding Rainbow. And the only thing in that folder is just kind of like the stuff that you would have for a P5.js sketch. An HTML file, a sketch.js file, a libraries folder. So if you're trying to follow along, pause the video now, get yourself a folder with the stuff that you would have with a P5.js sketch in there, and then you can keep going. So what I can do is when I type cd is I can take this folder and drag it into terminal. And you can see now this is the full path to that directory. Users/processing/desktop/sockets coding rainbow. So if I hit enter, I am now in that directory. Another command that I could type is ls. I can see that's listing all the files that are in that directory. And in fact, I already have, hopefully, a text editor open to that directory. Right here, you can see, because what I want to do in this directory is now make a new file. I want to make a file, and I'm going to call it server.js. Notice I now have a new text file called server.js. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to just say something like console.log, my socket server is running. So here's the magic of Node. Node is a JavaScript program that you can execute from the command line. It doesn't involve a browser. It doesn't involve a window, graphics. I mean, all those things are possible in the sort of landscape of things you might do. But this program now that has one line of code in it, I can go back to terminal and I can say node server.js. I can hit enter, and I can see that my socket server is running. Now, my socket server is not running because I don't have any of the code for the socket server here. So this is what I'm going to get into in the next video. So if you're following along, what you should have now in your head is a general sense of what is going on, server-side programming with Node.js. Conveniently, by the way, one of the reasons why I picked Node.js is because it's JavaScript, and so you don't have to learn a new programming language. So server-side program with Node.js, you've got that installed on your laptop. You've got the idea of making a P5.js sketch. And then you have a directory that has both a Node program in it under sketch.js and your P5.js, under server.js and your P5.js files. And once you have that, maybe put some test code in server.js. Run that test code, you've got Node running, you've got your P5.js, empty P5.js sketch ready to go, and you'll be ready for the next step, which is starting to add the actual code for the socket server. Okay, that was my first so I'm just like checking the chat for a second. So let me know if you guys have any questions about that or if I missed something important, because I can pick it up in the next video. I'm sorry, I am looking through the chat to see if there are any questions. So I know, somebody once told me if you want to have a lot of YouTube followers, just swear more. But swearing's not really in my personality. I'm a very quiet person who just wants to make rainbows in the world, and swearing just doesn't seem like the thing for me to do. I mean, I don't have any problem swearing. Everybody should swear. Everyone should feel free to swear. I just want a family stream, whatever that means. Okay, connect audio and video. Will I ever do this for languages like C#? Probably not anytime soon, but I would consider doing that at some point. But I've got a long list of stuff before. Okay. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to go to the next stage, which is to actually start to add the server code. And what I need to do is take a peek at the example I made earlier today, which is I need require express, app equals express. Okay, so, I don't need that. This I can make simpler. And I can actually remove this. This is probably a bad idea. Let me make sure this still works. I'm just simplifying my example from earlier. Yeah, it seems to work just fine. So I just want to simplify it. Even though it's probably good practice to have a lot of extra. Sorry, I'm just simplifying this example. Okay. Yes. Got it. Okay, I'll deal with this later. Oops. Okay. Okay, so I am getting ready to do the next piece of this, which is, untitled here maybe, nope. Videos to do, which is, I didn't talk about all this other stuff, but I'll do a different video where I get to this other stuff. Add Express and hosting files. Okay, so that's the next thing. Will you talk about sockets in processing Java or some other language? I'd be glad to. Let me get through some more of this stuff and maybe. Yes, no, I'm only getting rid of the comments right now in order to be able to look at the code for myself. When I upload the example, it will have lots of comments in it. Of course, I'm in favor of comments. Okay, but I'm trying to actually just memorize this because I'm going to type this out from scratch. And right now, this is all that I need. And I'll get to this other stuff in the next video. Okay, whoops. Require Express. Okay. So here we go. There we go. And close all this stuff. Save and open this. Require Express, express.app. No, app equals Express, server app.listen, app.use Express static public. I'm never going to remember all that. Okay. Okay, everyone. Any other questions in the chat? I should check Twitch. Oh, the channel is the YouTube channel. I'm putting it in the Twitch chat. Is this? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do the next segment. It's almost 3 o'clock. Moving along here. I think we're in pretty good shape. Okay. Now, what is Express anyway? I'm going to look that up real quick. Express. No, not clothing. Web application framework. That's what it is. Web application framework. Good for you, Express. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to have an error with my function name. Yeah. I'll find out what that is later. Okay. Here we go. Welcome to part 2 of making a socket server for the shared collaborative canvas thing in HTML. So what we had so far before is we just had a server application that when I go into... Start over. Hold on. Welcome to part 2 of making a shared collaborative canvas drawing space in JavaScript with P5.js and Node and sockets and all of that stuff. So what I had so far before was just a simple Node program that had one line of code. And I said Node server.js, and it prints out that line of code. The console gets logged. My socket server is running. Now we need to actually add the actual code for an actual web server that we can connect to with sockets. So there's one thing that I didn't mention before, which I'll come back over to this diagram that I had, right? I talked about the server really as its sole job being this entity that connects to these things with sockets. But actually, web servers perform another role in the sort of I'm just going to start this video over because now I know what I want to talk about, and I kind of lost my train of thought and rambled too much, and everything's going to be okay. Here we go. Welcome to part 2 of making a shared collaborative drawing space thing in the browser with P5.js, Node, and sockets. So what I had before was just a simple Node program. The only thing that it does is spit out my socket server is running. But our job right now is to actually add code to this program that starts a web server and makes sockets available for the P5.js drawing thing to connect to. But here's the thing, I missed something in my previous video where I talked about the fact that we're going to have this Node server, and we're going to have this P5.js sketch. The P5.js sketch is going to connect to the Node server with sockets. But interestingly enough, if you could just forget about sockets for a second, there's another reason why you might like to write your own Node server to host your actual files as well, right? When you do client-side programming, the JavaScript code executes on the browser, but the browser has to get that JavaScript code from somewhere. Like when you type in google.com and there's some JavaScript running on your browser that Google wrote, you know, the JavaScript is sitting on Google's server, gets sent to your browser via an HTTP request, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So one thing that we want the server to actually do beyond just sockets is host the HTML and JavaScript files for the sketch itself. So before I even get to the sockets, I want my server to be a web server. And I could write some Node code to do that. But a way to do that that's a little bit easier than writing Node code from scratch is to use something called a Node framework, a Node package, a Node framework or package, I think are good words, something called Express. So the first thing I want to do is show you how to install Express, use Express, and write some code. Express is a minimalist web application framework. A lot of things that you want to do very commonly, like host files or set up a query or route or all the kind of stuff that I might get to in other videos. Instead of having to write all the code for them, you can call on some functions in Express that handle a lot of that stuff for you. So let's come back over here, and I'm going to, the computer's over here, I'm going to go back to terminal. And one thing I want to do first, I'm going to attempt to be a proper citizen in the world of Node programming, and I'm going to run, my Node program worked without doing this, but it's often a good idea to write this command called npm init. What npm init does is it sets up, npm stands for, by the way, Node Package Manager, and I'm going to need the Node Package Manager to install Express. And what npm init does is it allows me to sort of set up a configuration file that says some stuff about my project. And you know what? This looks good. My project is going to be called Sockets Coding Rainbow. Can no longer contain capital letters. So I will rewrite that without capital letters. Version 1.0 is good. Description, sockets, example, live on YouTube. Entry point, server.js. Test command, I don't worry about that. I'll worry about that later. Sockets, P5.js, Node. Author is me. And license, I don't know, figure that out later. Yes, this seems fine. So I went through this npm init thing, and what that actually did is it created this new file called package.json. And what package.json is it's a JSON file with information about my project. Again, I could probably do this without this completely. Look at that. How does it know that the dependencies are Express and socket.io? Whoa. Some crazy internet thing just happened. Did I put that in? Oh no, I'm in the wrong place. I opened my earlier example. Okay, this was my earlier example. By the way, I did this earlier today. I'm not just figuring it out right now. Okay, close that. I should go here. This is the package.json file that just got created. And you can see here, there is the information that I typed in, the title, the version, and you don't see, what you don't see are dependencies. So the first thing that I need to do in order to be able to add this thing, oops, dramatic moment, to add this thing called Express is I need to put in this package.json file that I'm going to use a Node package called Express. Only I don't actually have to type it in there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say npm, can you see this? I've got to move this over, npm install Express. Now I want to do one more thing. I want to write -- save. And what this command is going to do is it's going to say save Express as a module that should be associated with this project. I'm going to do this. It's going to blah, 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 magic, magic. And then if I go back to here, you can see now in this file, it has a dependency on Express. So this is just a lot of, I mean, this is like the least interesting thing I could probably ever do with my day, is talk about like package.json and package manager, Express, blah, blah, blah. But these are the steps you want to do to kind of set up your project before you write code. You'll also notice, by the way, that there's this new directory here called Node modules. So Node modules is where all the code and stuff for Express actually got placed by when I typed npm install Express. Okay, so later I'm going to add the socket module, but right now I'm just going to keep the Express module. Okay, so I hope that cough wasn't too loud into the microphone. What's next, everybody? So now we can start to, oh, that's my secret code. No, not here. So now we can start to actually write, we can actually start to write some code into our server itself. So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say var express equals require express. So this is a way, is that what I wrote over here? Yeah. This is a way of importing the module that you're using. So the module name is Express, and I want to require that Express is something that I have access to in my Node program. And essentially I want to import all that is the framework Express, and I want all of that into a single variable called Express. The reason why I can do, and that variable, by the way, is a function call. I mean, the variable is a variable, but it's storing a function, a JavaScript function. You know what that JavaScript function does? It makes an Express application. So I can trigger the Express function and store the result of that in a variable called app. And then, even better, what I can do is I can say server equals app.listen port 3000. So now, dare I say, if I run the server, my socket server is running, and look at that. It didn't go back to terminal. Something's happening. Something is there on port 3000. And I can go to my browser and say localhost, right? This localhost being the server's running on my local computer. If this server were running on the New York Times website, I would go to newyorktimes.com port 3000. But I'm not the New York Times, in case you were wondering. And now I'm going to hit enter. And now it's like, it doesn't know what to do. But this is reasonable, right? Because I haven't told it what to do. There's no files. There's no instructions for it to follow. But this is the basic idea. The basic idea is that I want to, and by the way, you could do this without Express, but it would be like 10, 11, 12 lines of code. So I'm using Express to set myself up for the future of life of less worry. Express will give you less worry in your life. So I require the library. I create the app. I listen on port 3000, and now what do I want to do? What I want is when the user goes to my website, I want them to see my P5.js sketch. So the main thing I want to happen is I want to send my HTML file along with my JavaScript file and everything else so they can experience my sketch. Well, one thing I need to do in order to do that is I need to go to this directory, right? This directory has a lot of stuff in it right now. It has both the Node stuff like server.js and package.json and the Node modules, and it also has the P5.js stuff, an HTML file, sketch.js, and a library folder. I don't like this. Everything's mixed and a mess. So I want to make a folder, and I'm going to make that folder called sketch. Now, truth be told, probably if you see examples, most people are going to call that folder public. Let's call it public. The reason why I'm going to call it public is this is like going to be where I put files that I want the public to be able to see. When the public goes to my web server, they get these files. And so what are the things? I don't want them to see my server code, but I want them to see my P5.js sketch. So I want the HTML file, the libraries, and my JavaScript file, and I want to put that here in public. Now, what I need to do here is add another line of code which says, I want to host those files. Whenever anybody goes to my website, I want them to see those files. So the way that I do that, I'm just going to copy it from over here. And I'm going to put it right here. So this is what the code looks like. app.use express.static public. So what's the word static for? So the word static here is hosting static files. So those are files that aren't dynamic and changing. They're just like, here's an HTML file, here's a JavaScript file, here's some images. I want to host everything. I want the app to use to host everything in that public directory. So that when the user goes to my website, they see what's in the public directory. So I'm going to hit save. And now I'm going to hit Control-C. I'm going to run the server again. My socket server is running. I'm going to hit refresh. And look at that. I don't see cannot get anymore, but I don't see anything in there. Why don't I see anything in there? Well, I don't see anything there because there's no actual sketch. So let me go into public. Let me go into sketch.js. Let me say create canvas, 200, 200. Let me say background 51. Let me say ellipse, like mouse X, mouse Y, 60, 60. And let me refresh again. And you can see, there we go. So now I actually am hosting a P5.js sketch from Node with Express with just an 4/5 lines of code. So by the way, I have another video which I would like to reference somehow with a link, where I looked at how you can run a local server on your computer using Python simple server. Well, now here's another way you can run just a local server on your own computer with Node, with Express, with 4 lines of code. So we've got the basic idea now. We know what Node is, we've installed it, we've got Express, we added a little bit of code, we are now seeing our sketch in the browser. The next thing I need to do is add the socket package. I need this server to be able to make socket connections to the browser, the client itself, to be able to send messages back and forth. And that's what I will do in the next video. Okay. Okay. I don't know if that I feel like had some problems, but it'll just have to do. Honestly, like when I used to make these videos, I wouldn't live stream them and I would do the video and then I would just immediately delete it and I would just do it again. And the second one would always be a little smoother and with less mistakes, but it is what it is. Hopefully people will find these useful. I could always re-record it later some other time. It's very hot in this room because I'm using these halogen lights, which seem to do well for the keying and everything. I wonder if, I'll be fine though. Okay, let me look at the time here. It is 3:08. Let me look at my list. Can I finish this today? That is the question. Delete this. Yes. So I need to add the socket.io package with events. So let me go back. I wish I knew that it's funny, like a lot of stuff that I do, I just like know it by heart, having done it so many times, but this I've only ever really done to make an example. I don't know it that well. So what I want to do is open up this file, all right, and look down here. Now somebody was telling me I was going to have a problem. Oh yeah, thank you. There's the problem. And I don't like, as a matter of course, I don't really like anonymous functions it's useful for teaching. So I'm going to do something. Like this. Just kind of just so I can look at this here. Okay, and so this should do the trick. Change this to this. Okay. Okay. All right, so now, hold on. I need to look also at this, Connect localhost 3000 on mouse. Okay, that's fine. That I can do. Okay. Okay, I think I'm ready, mentally ready to add the new pieces. And I would prefer to write it like this. I guess I should make sure this still works, but I feel confident it will. Okay, let me look at the chat, see if there's any questions. App.uses middleware. Okay, thank you, Socket.io. Okay, let me check Twitch. Okay, you guys are quiet today. But I am ready to do the next stage of this. And I'll do that over here. Hold on, let me close all this stuff. I need that. And this can be a little bit bigger. And I need this. And what is going on here? I'll do the trick. Okay, how's that? Plenty of room. Okay, and let me cycle the cameras. Okay, I think I am now ready for the next phase. This is the good part of getting the socket actually to work and have the communication happening. So let's make that happen. I want to look at one thing here. On mouse, yes, draw. Okay. Send mouse data, emit mouse data. Okay. Close enough. Okay. I don't know. I'm never going to remember all this, but let's do it. Okay. So first I need to install socket.io and then create the socket connection with the server and then create a io.sockets.on connection. Okay. All right, let's do this. Here we go. Here we are, part 3 of making a collaborative Canvas socket connection P5.js drawing thing. And we are at the point now where we have a Node server that is serving a P5.js sketch. If I run that server, start over. I don't think, I'm going to just go right into it. Okay. And actually, one thing I want to do, what I meant to do, by the way, and I'm going to fix this now, is put this here. And this. And doesn't really matter. And okay. And sorry, I'm being like really persnickety about this, but okay. Part 3 of making a collaborative drawing canvas thing in the browser with P5.js, Node, and sockets. So where we last left off was we had a Node server working with, not this code, we had a Node server using Express to host a directory, and in that directory was a P5.js sketch. the thing that I need to add is now that socket connection between the sketch and the server, so that if I have another sketch, I can have messages going between from one client to the server to the other client. So let's see how we get that working. So the first thing I need to do is add the socket.io package to my, Node package application thingamabob. So if I go back to terminal, I want to say npm install socket.io --save. That's going to install socket.io. Install, and you should see now here in package.json, we now have added socket.io as a dependency for this particular Node application. So now that that's there, and I go back to my server, I can now start doing stuff with sockets. So the first thing I want to do is say socket equals require socket.io. So this is like an import statement. In the same way that I wanted to use Express equals require Express, I now want to say socket equals require socket.io. Now what I want to do though actually is create an actual socket that's part of this server. So the server that's listening on port 3000, that's in the variable server. Now I have access to this socket library, which socket is of course a function. And so I'm going to call this variable IO. It's going to be the thing that's going to keep track of inputs and outputs, messages in and out. And I want to say socket. I'm going to call the socket function and give it the server as an argument. So I've imported the library, and the library exists as just like a big function. I call that function with the server that's listening on port 3000, and I've got that in a variable. Now, once I have that, I want to start dealing with certain events. And the main event, the first event that I just want to deal with is if I have a new connection. So I think what I do is I say io.on connection. So sockets work based on different types. You have to write. The idea here is that there's this socket that's a connection. And the way that everything in JavaScript always works is like there's an event. And this code is the stuff that happens when this event is triggered. Events for sockets are like, hey, I'm connected to you. So that's an event. Another event is, hey, here's a message. Another event is, oh, I'm disconnected now. So these are all the events. The first event I want to deal with is just a new connection event. And I want to have a function to handle that event. And of course, I could put an anonymous function just inside right here. But I'm going to try to make things a little simple and explicit. And I'm going to say new connection. And so that means, and this is wrong. I'm going to go look up in my answer key, io.sockets.on. I knew I was missing something. So I need to, this is the syntax for that. I have my, and did I get the other stuff right? Yes, I did. Okay. So what I need to say io, which is the object now, the whole input-output object that's created by that socket function. I want to go inside that object to this thing called sockets, call the function on to set up a connection event. And I'm now going to say function new connection. And what is the thing that exists when there's a new connection? A socket. So an argument is placed in that function, and I could say something like, console.log socket. Well, let me run this server now. I'm running the server. My socket server is running. Okay, the socket server is running. I'm now going to go into the browser. Here we go, into the browser. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to refresh this page. Going to connect with a socket. I don't see anything. So here's the thing. I can set up a socket server all I want to wait for connections, but I've also got to write the code in the client to connect to the server. Like, let's go back and look at my client code. I don't see anything in here about connecting to a socket. So here's the thing that I need to do. I need to also have a reference to the sockets library in the client. What libraries is, so socket, so let's I'm already confused. And I supposedly know what I'm doing, which I don't really, but whatever. So I can look at socket.io, go to the socket.io website. Come on, internet, don't fail me now. And you can see socket 1.0 is here, and I can go down, and there was something that I was going to look, I could go to download. So here, right? So there is both a socket.io server and a socket.io client. this is what I need. I need the socket.io server to run here. I've already written the code for that. Now I need socket.io to run on the client. So I need to add that to my client code. And one thing that you'll notice here is a quick way to do that is actually just to copy this line here, which is referencing the socket.io.js library via a CDN, a content delivery network. So I could download the file and put it in my libraries folder, but this is going to be a little bit simpler. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go to my index.html file, right? This is where I'm referencing libraries, p5, libraries p5.dom, libraries p5.sound. Let me now add another line of code here that just references socket.io. So now I'm referencing that socket library. I can once again hit refresh. Let's open up the browser console. Nothing there. Nothing there, right? I've got the library, but now I need to write some actual code. It's so sad when you just can't remember what the code is to write. Good thing I already have the example prepared. So I'm going to go to my sketch.js. I'm going to go to the one that I did earlier, and I know that I need, the thing that I need is to create a variable called socket, and then in setup, I want to say socket equals socket.io.connect, and then what do I want to connect to? Oh, hey. I think I want to connect to localhost :3000. So that's what I've set up my Node server to run on. It's running on this local computer, and it's opening up on port 3000. So did I get that right? Let me just briefly, oops, wrong place. Let me briefly peek over here. Wrong place again. io.connect. Because I've what did I do? Okay. Because I've imported the library, which gives me access to a global variable called io, which should connect. So now let me hit refresh. And let me go here. Whoops. Failure. All right, let's see what I missed here. That shouldn't matter. Connect localhost. Let me just copy this directly. Server, let me look at my server. Let me just see. Maybe there was nothing to see that was printed out in that. Oh, yes, there we go. I don't know why that didn't work before. Maybe I didn't restart the server. Okay, hold on. I have to edit out this part of the video. Hold on, I'm going to pause for a second. Oh my goodness. I have lost my mind here. Okay, I'm going to, whoops. Oh, it's getting a refused connection. Am I running the other one? No. Okay, hold on a second, everybody. Let me just go back for a second. Oops. That looks good. Okay, so things are working. All right, I'm just checking the chat now for a second. Localhost is the same. Yes, this is really helpful comments in the chat. Let me check Twitch for a second here. Okay. Dan, I wrote localhost.com 3000. Is that wrong? Oh yeah, you're right. It should just be local. Yeah, why would I write localhost.com? That's totally wrong. So where can I need to go back somehow. Yeah, why did I write .com? Because I'm a lunatic. I gotta just record from somewhere and then I'll splice it. It's so much nicer, by the way, when I go home and I'm like, I'm gonna upload the videos from today, and I didn't do this thing where I stop in the middle and hit record again. But I'm gonna do that. Where did I write .com? Did I write it? I wrote it here. Yeah, that was the problem. Okay. I'm going to just cop to that. This is what I did, right? Okay. Right, because if I do that, right, and that doesn't work, and that's where I didn't start getting errors because it can't connect to that. Okay. Okay, got it. All right, I'm going to come back to correct this error, and we should be okay. But I want to look up one other thing. Socket on, no. That's in the sketch. What I want to do is, oh, that's what I'm writing. Mouse message, yeah. Okay, socket dot on mouse message. Okay, socket dot on disconnect. Yeah. On to disconnect. We have a new client, socket dot ID. Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Oops, back after a mistake that I couldn't see, which is now quite obvious to me. For some reason, I wrote localhost.com here. There should be no .com. Localhost is the full name of my local computer. I could also write, by the way, the 127.0.0.1, which is a special reserved IP address for a local computer, but I'm going to keep that as localhost. So once I now am connecting in my client, I should be able to hit refresh here and go here and say, oh, all this stuff spit out. Now, so here's the thing. What did I do in the code? If in the server code, I said right here in a new connection, console.log the socket object. The socket object has a ton of metadata associated with it. The IP address and all sorts of information about what's connecting. One thing that I'll do here is just, and we could evaluate, look at all that stuff, but that's a sort of for another day, perhaps. I'm going to say socket.id, and I'm going to say new connection socket.id. So this is a nice way. Every single new connection to a web server, new socket connection to the server, gets automatically assigned an ID number for tracking it over time. That might be something you make use of. So I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to run the server again. I'm going to go back to the browser. I'm going to hit refresh. And we should see new connection. I don't know why I got two new connections. I probably by accident still had it open. But then I can go open up another browser window, and another browser window, and another browser window. And you can see all of these connections are coming in. So all of those instances are all connected to the server, all with a socket connection. So we are in good shape now. We have added the socket.io library to both the client and the server. Let's review that for a second. In the server, we need to require socket.io, connect it to this particular web server, and write a function to handle new connections. In the client, we need to make sure we've imported socket.io.js in the HTML file, and we also need to make sure that we open a connection to the server that has the socket server on it. So that sort of concludes the add sockets to your thing. And the next thing that we need to do, the very last piece, is we want to add code from this client to send a message to the server. We want to add code to the server to receive that message and send it out to all other clients. And that's what I'll do in the next video. Okay, I decided to break this up into two videos. It's 3:30. By golly, I'm going to finish this today. Even though I sort of said I had to go at 3:30, I'm going to give this another 15 minutes. I think I can do this last piece. Okay, so I'm going to let me recap for myself. Okay, so I'm going to now what I'm going to do is create a new browser window. Yeah, so you know what? The library is just smart enough that somehow the socket stuff is smart enough that it just reconnects. I just want to... Okay. Just want to not have any. Okay, so this is what we're starting with here. Sorry, everybody. I'm just trying to. Okay. Okay, good. So I'm ready for this last piece. Okay. Okay, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we are, the moment of truth, part 4. We now have a Node server running. It's a socket server. I have 2 clients going in 2 different browser windows, both connecting to the server. But if I move my mouse around here to draw, I don't see the result of that drawing in this one over here. So what I need to do now is add the last piece. As I move the mouse in a client, I need to send a message. And then in the server, I need to receive that message and send it out to everybody else. So let's see if we can make that happen. So the first step is let's add code in the client to send the message. So I'm going to go to Sublime here where I have all my different pieces. And this is my client code. I have a socket variable and I connect to the server. So what I want to do is, I'm going to write a function called mouse dragged. The mouse dragged function, you'll see, is a function, the event function that's triggered whenever I drag the mouse. And so if I add that in and put the console, whoops, wrong console, put the console in and I hit refresh, you can see, whenever I drag the mouse, and you can see that I'm printing out those mouse coordinates. So that's where I want to send. I just realized there's sort of a flaw in my program, which is that I also want to draw in mouse dragged as well. So now, right, if I move the mouse, nothing happens. But if I drag, I move the mouse, and I see the coordinates spitting out in the console. So now what I want to do is I need to create a message that I'm going to send. And the way you create a message is 2 things. You need a name for the message, which is a string of text. And you need the data for that message, which is just a JavaScript object. So the data for that message is, I'm going to say x is mouse x and y is mouse y. So this is the content of my message. I want to send the mouse x and mouse y value. And then I also need a name. So I think I say socket.emit mouse.data. And so I'll change this to saying sending. So now in the code, you see this is really the sort of crucial part right here, which is that when I want to send a message, I create a JavaScript object with the data in it. I then say socket.emit. I name the message. The name is important because you're just making a protocol. Like what if you have a whole lot of different messages and you do different things based on what the name of the message is? That's a way to, in this case, I don't really have to worry about that, but that's kind of important. And then I attach the data to it. So now I've sent the message. Now let's first even just run the sketch to make sure there aren't any weird errors. Sending, you can see that it's sending that stuff. Seems to be working. I don't get any errors. And the server, I don't see anything happening in the server because I haven't written the code to receive the message. So now I need to go to the server to write that code. Server code right here This is the function that is triggered when there's a new socket connection. So what if this particular socket connection sends a message, right? Not just any message. What if a message comes from this particular client? So I should be able to say socket.onMouse, mouse message. I don't know if that's right. Let me look at my cheat sheet over here. Look, that's right. So what I'm saying is if there is a message called mouse, trigger this function. So I'm going to write that function now. And I'm just going to say console.log data. So this is now, I have a server. The server is waiting for connections. When there's a new connection, I say there's a new connection. When there's a message, it logs that particular message. So let's take a look at this working now. So one thing I need to do is I need to restart the server. Incidentally, there's a way using a tool called NodeMon, which maybe I should show you at some point, to auto restart a server every time you change code. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I can hit Control-C and start it again. So I'm running the server. Everything is reconnected automatically. But I'm going to refresh anyway. And you can see it's sending. And look at this. Receiving. Come on, you can do it. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to move the mouse around here. You can see, look, I'm sending and I'm receiving. Boy, this is getting good. I'm sending and I'm receiving. I'm sending and I'm receiving. But I am not sending again to receive over here, right? The message went from here and then it went to here. Now I need it to go here. And incidentally, if a message from here goes to there, I need it to go to there. Let's see, is that happening? Move this back over here. Right? It's happening here. It's happening here. You can't see it, but it is. So the messages are coming into the server, but they're not going back out. So what do I need to do to have them go back out? So I'm going to go to my code, and I don't have this memorized so well, so I'm going to go to the example I made earlier, and I'm going to grab this bit of code. Whoops. Sorry, everybody. I'm in the wrong place a million times over, and I'm going to add this back in. Right? I could have remembered that. So what do I want to do? When a message comes in, when a mouse message comes in, I want to call the broadcast.emit function to send a message back out. What do I want to send back out? That exact same message. And what do I want to call it? Mouse. So you can see that there's a lot of possibilities here. A message that comes in could be parsed, altered, changed, renamed, sent back out, but I'm not doing that. In this sort of simple example, I'm just taking the literal message in, the name and the data, and I'm sending the exact same back out, name and the data. Now, incidentally, we have this question here. I'm going to go back to all this. Let's say the message comes from this client into the server. Do I want that message then to go back out to back out to both of them? Or do I want, so message comes in, goes back out to both of them. Or do I want message to come in and only go to this one? Or if there was another one, to go to the other two. In this case, I don't want the message to come back to myself, but in other cases you might. But I want to show you, and I'm going to keep this in the code, example that I upload, that this is another way of writing this code. I'm going to put it right here. If I were to say instead, reference the global, not the specific socket to emit to everyone else, but this io.sockets, which kind of refers to everything, it will also include the client that sent the message. So I'm going to leave that in there as a sort of separate side possibility. But really, we're kind of golden here. We've got messages coming in and the message going back out. But the message does not get received by the client. So I've got to also go back to the client now, and I've got to add something that handles the message coming in. Socket.on mouse, and I'm going to say new drawing. So now, if this particular socket receives a message called new drawing, what should it do? Well, it should draw, and I'm just going to grab exactly this same code. It should draw something, but at data.x, data.y, and let's make it a different color just so we can see it's different. So this is now saying, in addition, this particular sketch should set up an event handler for when a message comes in. Right? It's kind of confusing. The same sketch both has functions for sending out and receiving, because it's not like there's two different sketches running. There's two different instances of the same sketch. So if this one sends, this one receives, but if this one sends, this one receives, they both have the sending and receiving code in them. Now I might have missed something. I'm going to feel ambitious though and just run it, because I don't have this stuff memorized. So these, let's go to the browser here. I'm going to refresh and see. Oh no, I didn't miss anything. So you can see it works. Beautiful. Oh, that's so nice. So you know, there's so much possibilities here. And incidentally, we are being really, there is absolutely no reason why I shouldn't add a third one just to demonstrate what's really going on here. So now if I hit refresh here, right, you can see, and let me refresh all of these. Okay, here we go. I'm going to draw a heart because I love you all for watching this video. 2 hearts for the 2 people left who are still watching this video. And then I'm going to fill in the heart here because that will make it pink on the other 2. Look at this. This is way too much fun. I'm going to mess around with this later after I turn this video off. But you can see the idea here is we have all the pieces. We have a node. You can now remember, we have a node server that's hosting a P5 sketch. The node server is running Express and opening socket connections. Whenever a client runs, it connects via socket to the server. If it sends messages to the server receives that message and sends it back out to all the other clients, not including the original one. Let me show you again where all the pieces of the code are. So here, this is, let me look at the directory of files, right? This is everything you need. The server.js has the code for running the server and receiving socket messages and sending them back out to the clients. Inside public is my P5.js sketch. In sketch.js, I have the client code, which sends messages to the server and then also receives messages from the server. So if I go to that server, we can see all I'm doing is I have new connection. I have a function that handles new connections and a function that receives messages and sends them back out immediately. And if I go to the client, I have a variable that connects to the server. It handles new messages and also has a function when the mouse is dragged for sending messages. So sending, receiving, server, client, node, express, socket, P5.js. All of those things make this particular example. I will have all of the code on GitHub. I hope that you make something with this, do something different. I'm sure I missed some stuff, so leave things in the comments. I will add some addendum videos to pick up items I missed, or maybe how to deploy this somewhere, or other kinds of messages that you could send. And let me know, and have a good day with your sockets and hearts and things like that. Okay, I got through that. All right, everyone. So it is 3:45. I have to leave, but I'm going to stay for 2 or 3 minutes to copy the video files into Dropbox so that they'll upload to me so I can put them on YouTube later. And also to wait and see if there's a lot of chat going on right now. So I'm scrolling through it to look, but wow, I have 13 people watching on Twitch, which is really kind of cool. I'm going to get all my video files. Sorry, everybody. So ask your questions in the chat. I'll come look at them in a second. Right now I'm doing something that you can't see, which is I am checking to see how much space I have in my Dropbox. It should be okay. And now I'm looking at all the videos I made today, how much space they take up, which shouldn't be that much. Today. Boy, I recorded a lot today. That was good. Let's see if that is going to work. Oh, too much. Problem. We've got a problem. Oh, no, it should be okay. What's in here? Oh, because it's got the cache. Okay. Oh, no, we're fine. I'm fine. Those should all upload. Okay, I'm going to check the chat. Thank you. People are just writing nice things in the comments, which is really great. I appreciate that very much. So let me explain to you, those of you who are new or wondering what's going to happen. I made basically, I would say 5 or 6. So first of all, as soon as I hit stop on the streaming button, this YouTube stream will close down, and the archive of the stream will be on my channel, which is youtube.com/Chiffman. And there's also an archive that's kept on Twitch. You can communicate with me, questions or feedback on Twitter. So as soon as I hit stop on the stream, this whole 1 hour and 55 minutes will be on YouTube. It takes an hour sort of process. Then probably not until tonight, after my children go to bed, I then will go through the video files that I saved to disk, and I'll sort of trim them and do one quick little edit. Then I will upload them as separate videos and make a playlist so that there will be a playlist for the 4 or 5 videos that I recorded of the steps. You'll be able to watch that later also. And one thing that I need to do about, I need to add annotations and write better descriptions and that sort of thing. But just if you can't find something, Twitter is the best way to reach out to me and that sort of thing. And you don't need to do anything but spread the word. I've got this semester where I have more time to make videos. I'm trying to see what this can really become. If this is kind of a sustainable model to just learn to program videos. So I really enjoy doing it. So tell people to subscribe or watch or whatever. And I'm going to be back doing it. So I hope to be back here tomorrow. I didn't really expect to do this one, and I might do some more. Oh boy, I have some other stuff I have to do this week. But I hope to be back here tomorrow to do actually some more Node videos. Because I'm doing a workshop on Saturday, and so I meant for this to be stuff preparing for the workshop, but I realized I went off on a different topic. But I'll be back tomorrow and possibly on Friday, but perhaps just tomorrow this week. You can subscribe to my email notification list. I always post on Twitter, which is at schiffman.net, and I'll send an email probably tomorrow morning or later tonight about the timing of the next live stream. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to delete the live stream. It will be there. It's just it's not as easy to watch. It's 2 hours as opposed to if somebody really wants to come and just find the tutorial, they'll find 4 or 5 10-minute videos. So they'll both be there for sure, definitely. Someone asked about videos based on Katai library and running processing on Android. I'm definitely interested in that. I have a long list of topics. So I don't know. That's not high on my list, but let me. But I keep a GitHub gist, and you can see this is sort of the topic list that I'm working with. Somewhere here I have sockets. I guess I didn't have it on this list, but there's a lot of things that I'm kind of want to get to. Let me look at the comments. Database stuff, yes. I will definitely do database stuff. That is definitely important on my list of things to get to. So I have, by the way, I will upload the socket example soon. Okay, and that's about it for today. So get in touch, leave me messages on Twitter. Don't send me emails. I mean, you can, but it's email is kind of impossible. But I love to be in touch. So ways that are Twitter's a good thing, I guess, for that. YouTube comments, I always try to answer the YouTube comments questions there. Often if it's a big complicated question, I'll just say ask this at the processing forum instead, because the YouTube comments is sort of best for sort of targeted questions based on a specific video. And especially if you send me something like, you referred to another video at this timestamp, or you referred to a link at this timestamp, it'll help me add the annotations to the video. So that is also really helpful in the comments if you're watching them. Okay, I will see you guys soon. I'm going to hit stop. Everything uploaded to Dropbox. So later tonight, I will be putting this stuff on YouTube. The stream will go live immediately. And I will see you all soon. Oh, this is going to be a 2-hour stream. 2 hours.